Thirdly, you can't blame the federal government. It's the state of New York that decided to try all these crazy things that you're saying are challenging to make work. Okay? Nobody said that we should get rid of 350 providers and reduce it to 7. That was the state's crazy idea. We told you from day one it wasn't going to work. Right now, there are no fiscal agents available in the county of Westchester. There are none available. So therefore, there's a total bottleneck. Somebody put a cork in the bottle, and there's no services flowing out. And the end result of that is that you're able to spend 1/3 less this year than we spent last year because people aren't getting services. And on paper, you've got these beautiful life plans. You're talking about, you want a commentary on life plan, you want a commentary on this, all of this discussion of being in the weeds is a misdirection. What parents care about is that when they call over to an agency, they want somebody to be able to come over after school and take care of the kid. Or they want somebody to be able to provide services to their brother or their kid who's 60 years old. They don't want to hear, well, he's got a beautiful plan. You said it yourself. We'll have a life plan so at least we'll know we'll all be on the same page. That's not enough. That life plan has to provide services. And I don't hear that coming from OPWDD. And I can go on and on and on. But all of this is because the governor has an artificial cap. You said it yourself, and let everybody in this room understand. Let everybody in this room understand. In March, while we were negotiating the state budget, the governor kept $1.7 billion of last year's bills in the drawer and didn't pay them until the second week of April. April 1 being the beginning of the new fiscal year. And I called our Ways and Means staff specifically on this point. They didn't know about it until after it happened. So therefore, the governor deceived the legislature. He deceived the legislature. If there's a reporter in the room, quote me on it. He deceived the legislature. We did not know that this year's budget was going to be $1.7 billion short. And now he's trying to have you make it up. That is not fair. Okay? He's trying to cut your services and your ability to meet the needs of people because the entire Medicaid system is $1.7 billion short this year. And your share of it, whatever it is going to cut the services that everybody in this room needs. Now, think about that for a second. That compounds. Because not only does he have to cut out 1.7, there's now an impact on this year. Why? Not because we didn't have the money in the state of New York, but because the governor has imposed an artificial cap saying we're not going to increase spending of the state of New York by more than 2%. And he's done all kinds of things. He's shifted things from one department to another, to agencies. You're getting a check in the mail instead of having your school tax subsidized. Why? Because it shifts things to another year. It's an artificial cap in every area. But in this area, it hurts people. Whether you get your check this week or next week doesn't matter. But in this area, this is hurting people. And that's the problem. He's got this artificial cap, and this year you're going to have the same artificial cap, or maybe a slight increase, but not enough to pay for $1.7 billion in Medicaid. Now I come to my third point, and the third point is, this is a Medicaid-dependent system. Why? You were explaining over here before, well, this is the way Medicaid works. Well, we don't want it in Medicaid. Since when is providing behavioral services a Medicaid issue? It's a way to draw down half the cost of the program from the federal government. And I go back to my first point, no concern for the needs of the people who need the services. Because if it doesn't fit Medicaid, well, then too bad, we don't provide the service. That's not the way this department's supposed to be working. And if I sound angry, I really am, because I, being part of this community, get all of the phone calls from Westchester County, from parents in every area. And I tell them, call your other legislators, let them know what's going on. Because they care too, they just don't have the same understanding that I do, because they're not part of the system. Every one of my colleagues really cares, you've seen them here. But it's so damn complicated, and you keep making it more complicated, that they can't possibly keep on top of it. So, you tell me what we have to provide, and that's what we'll fight for in the next budget. But I don't want to hear that there's not enough money, we're going to take services away. Nobody in this room is going to tell you they have enough services. Nobody's getting enough services. We've got people who need help. And I want to end with a fourth point. You're talking about the settings rule from the federal government. Well, I called your department and said, what are you doing to accommodate the new settings rule that came down in March? The new guidance. Oh, well, we've been working on this for a long time. No. You're going in the wrong direction. There's a new guidance that came down in March of this year. And they said, well, we'll get back to you. Well, that conversation was 2 or 3 months ago. Nobody's gotten back to me. They've changed the settings rule. They're now allowing a congregation of people with disabilities. And that's very important because we want to set up housing where our kids are together with people like themselves. Okay? Because otherwise on a Saturday night, they're sitting alone in an apartment somewhere. Okay? And other states are doing it. California fought to change that model. And they won, and the federal government has now responded to California. And we should be doing what California is doing. Frankly, from your point of view, it would be also cheaper. It would be cheaper to have a community of people with disabilities. I'm not talking about a Willowbrook. I'm talking about maybe a group of apartments together or something like that. But there's all kinds of things. He said to you before, what about talking to the parents? How about if we have some work sessions? I bet you we can find far better ways to spend the money, and it would cost less, rather than having a bureaucracy tell us what should be done. There's not one group home being built in Westchester County. Okay, not one group home being built. The only way you can get in is if you're in a program and you're now a ward of the state. Well, guess what? Some of those schools are now saying they can't place kids. There are kids at special act schools that are 2 or 3 years older than they should be. They're in violation of the law having graduates in with undergraduates of high school, but they can't place them. This system is entirely in crisis, and you're rearranging the deck chairs on a sinking ship.
Assemblyman Tom, now, I want to say, I only hand over the microphone to the Assemblyman because, unlike all the rest of us in here, he has a vote. And I let him speak, but one of the things, and he's going to run for me, but I've got to say, Assemblyman, one of the questions that, because of you speak, that I have for you, and not that I don't agree with everything you say, but for the families in here, for our advocacy, you and I, as you know, will talk, but the families want to know, what can we do? Because you have the votes. In theory, you can fund, not fund. I understand, but, while they hear your concerns, I think what they want to know is, what? He spoke eloquently, but his speaking is not his vote, which is, and that's why we need, I'm with him, but, okay.
I think the answer to that is, we need to see the department present its needs to the governor. Because the governor right now is in the process of presenting a budget. And unfortunately, in the state of New York, we have a governor-heavy system. The governor presents the budget. He has a line item veto on every item in the budget. The state legislature even sued Governor Pataki when he did this. It was Sheldon Silver sued Governor Pataki and said we should be able to change the budget without the governor's consent, and the court said no. They said if you don't like what's in the budget, don't pass it. And you may remember 10, 15 years ago, there were a series of budgets that went into August and September because the legislature was saying we don't like the budget.
And there was a budget you voted for that you shouldn't have.
Well, you're right. There was a lot of budgets we voted for that we shouldn't have. But we had no choice. It's all about negotiations. And if this department goes in with a low budget, then we don't have a basis for arguing that the budget should be higher. And what I'm hearing, unfortunately, is the department is not willing to stand up for the people that it represents.
How does that department represent us?
Well, I think you're going to have to ask the commissioner that. And I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but I think you hear people are not happy. You've been through the system, and I would hope you go back and let Paul Francis know and the governor know that the people who the system is supposed to help don't think it's helping them. And it puts you in a difficult spot. We don't have a governor here who's going to sit down and have a cup of tea with the commissioner. we have to understand the position that he's in as well. But I do hope that you're going to carry back the message, because we try to add money and the governor says no. And so, you know, this is one of many areas where this happens. But this system is in crisis, and it's not serving the people of the state of New York.
Thank you very much.
Do you have any response to?
I've only been in this role 10 months, but I think it's best that I not respond to the questions.